What is going on, everyone? Welcome into the Oregon Ducks Live show. I'm sorry, the all new Oregon Ducks Live show here on the Oregon Channel, the voice of college football. We appreciate everyone for tuning in as usual. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing here or to the main channel, the voice of college football, where there is multiple other team channels, even the SEC and the Big 12. Or sorry, the SEC and the Big 10 channel. I apologize. But everyone, just go ahead and hit that like button. It helps the show a lot. We appreciate it, and share it out if you want to. But as usual, we have our guy over here. We have Spaz and Derek. And how are you gentlemen doing tonight?
I'm doing well, man. Coming off a big victory on Saturday. Looking forward to the big game this weekend. I'm pumped.
Yeah, same here. Getting ready for this exciting week. Last week was basically a sleeper. So this week I'm ready to see what this team can do. See what this team is really made of. Are we for real, or are we a number 9 Clemson? Shout out to poor Jordan. It's okay. I hope you're not too drunk today.
You were dogging them pretty hard yesterday. I was like, "I'll be nice to Jordan. Be nice to Jordan." That's rough. That was rough. I will admit. And yeah, hopefully
he hasn't messaged me back. I think he hates me now.
I wouldn't blame him, to be honest. The things you probably said to that poor man. No, that's it. We don't want to be that team. That's the big thing, and that's it. Texas Tech is going to be a different challenge because it's on the road too. We're not at home at the comforts, just like Texas Tech wasn't when they went to Wyoming. We played at Wyoming before, and Wyoming held us in check for a good quarter, and that was a Taggart team, even. So that's it. And if we're looking back at Oregon, this last week, it was Portland State. We all realized that. Relax, chatter, anyone watching later, we know it was Portland State. But Oregon did what a team like Oregon is supposed to do to a team like Portland State. They didn't play around with them. They didn't whatever. They just said, we're going to do this, and they did what they wanted to pretty much with Portland State.
Yeah, very well said. I mean, you can only do so much with a team like Portland State, and I think we did that plus some. I mean, if anybody out there says they expected an 81-point challenging on Saturday, I think they're lying. It was a very impressive thing. I will say Saturday, even coming off a loss to Wyoming here last weekend, I think it's a different beast. I think, everybody can acknowledge that it's a sold-out crowd here there. The Ducks got to bring their A game still. I don't think this is a game you can come, sleepwalking into. It's one they better come prepared for.
And that's, yeah, exactly. I think in years past, previous coaches, Chip Kelly, Mark Helfrich, definitely Cristobal, I would have been nervous going into this week now after last week. But the way I've seen Dan Lanning perform so far and the type of coach that he just seems to show to me, there's absolutely zero. If you're letting down at all week in practice, you're going to sit, because this is not. I am not going to be Dion. I'm going to roll. And if you want to be lackadaisical and hip hop, you can go hip hop to the bench, because we're not playing that. And I think that's the last week showed that. When was the last time you saw a coach just like run it down their throat and just keep going? No foot off the gas, nothing till the last 3 minutes of the game.
Well, it was more funny because the announcers were like, Oregon's just trying to equal out that run game to the pass game at this point. They're just trying to balance out the yardage, because the passing game, the receivers were just doing whatever they wanted for the most part. So they were like, we got to balance this out. But that's a good point you make, is that a team like Portland State, that's exactly what you just said. You should do that to a team like that. So the team came in prepared, ready to go. not looking ahead and not playing around Florida State. And I think that shows a focus that the coaching staff says, you're not coming in like legitimately like half-assing this game. I mean, Bo Nix went back in the third quarter for no reason for a drive to score another touchdown for no reason. He didn't have to. He wanted to go, and maybe
just
they wanted
to get the
test.
work in.
Yeah, maybe they wanted to test too to see how the team would come out after halftime. Would they still be playing the same way, they played exactly the same way. So I think that's props to the coaching staff and the players.
Eric says, I hope the tortillas they throw are corn because I'm gluten free.
I don't want to get covered in tortillas at the game. Eric, be nice. I don't want to get covered in tortillas. Come on.
Yeah, I heard that's one of the things that they're good at.
Well, we're going to get to Texas Tech, especially their stadium here in our notes, because a lot of people don't know about Texas Tech that much. I mean, everyone knows Air Raid, Texas Tech, Mike Leach, formerly. Everyone knows those things, but it's kind of some interesting little side notes that we're going to throw in here.
Also, isn't that I believe 2-time Super Bowl MVP Patty Mahomes' college?
That it is. And so that's it.
He knows all about losing in college.
Well, that's it. Texas Tech has had good teams, but never extremely winning teams, at least recently. Outside of last year, which I think Texas Tech came into this season with high expectations because they had a 9-win team last year with a bowl win over Ole Miss. And they were even, some people said, dark horse for the Big 12 championship, or at least contender. A lot of people had him in the game. And then Texas Tech went to Wyoming and decided to lose in the second overtime to Wyoming, 35-32, which, I mean, let's not downplay this one. They traveled across the country, basically, Lubbock to Wyoming. That's not across the country, but, full length north vertically, basically. So it's not like that was like some just 2-hour drive for them or something like that. But did that surprise you guys that they would drop that game like that?
Well, I think, obviously, I would say it surprised me. I don't think any of us sat back and saw Wyoming on their schedule and went, probably going to lose that game. I think that's a game everybody expected them to win. I think it's a game they expected to win. I think it's a game in reality, watching it back, they probably should have won. I mean, they outgained Wyoming that game pretty handily. It's just their failure to, cap drives off really cost them in the end. I think it just kind of goes to show that you can't be overlooking these teams. I don't care if that team's Wyoming. I don't care if that team's, I don't want to say Portland State here, but, you can't overlook your opponent. And I think that's kind of what we saw happen to Tech a little bit there. I think the Ducks were probably on their mind, and I don't mean that in the sense that Texas Tech is always thinking about the Oregon Ducks. I mean that in the sense of they understand how big of a game this is coming up this weekend, to open up their stadium that just had all these renovations that obviously we'll get into a little bit later in the show. But yeah, it definitely surprised me, and I don't think people should use this Wyoming game as a litmus test of Texas Tech, however. I do think they're a much better team than they showed. You mentioned they had a decent year last year and they came in with high expectations this year, and I still think that's a team that can kind of realize these expectations still. So, like I said earlier in the show, Oregon's got to bring their A game. We'll get into predictions a little bit later as to what we think is going to happen, but yeah, I still think it's going to be a tough atmosphere for Landing and Coda walk into on Saturday.
You're muted, Spaz.
Yeah, I did it to myself this time. Man, I pulled a Ben. Anyways, yeah, I was watching that game when I first turned it on. It was 10-0, and then Texas Tech scored again, and it was like early second quarter, and I'm like, yeah, this game's probably about done. And then the next drive, he throws an interception in on his own territory, and totally, completely changed the game. It gave Wyoming a little bit of a lift because they had done absolutely nothing offensively until that point. And they got that defensive turnover, and it just re-energized them, and it was a whole completely different game for the next 2.5 quarters.
Yeah, and I had to go back and rewatch the highlights today because I didn't get to watch that game. I really did want to, but there was, so many other games going on. You had to heavily pick and choose. So I went back and watched the highlights again, and Texas Tech had to fight their way back into that game just to tie it, to go to overtime. And then even then, it took 2 overtimes for, both teams scored a touchdown in overtime. But Wyoming was 4th and 7, and they did it. If you watch the highlights, watch the 4th and 7 play in the second overtime for Wyoming when they score and then they get the 2-point conversion to win. It reminded me exactly of Bo Nix, Dakota last year. They blitzed, Texas Tech blitzed, their quarterback dropped and just tossed it over the middle to the tight end that kind of snuck out like an angle route and ran for a touchdown. And it reminded me almost of the exact type of play, just falling backward, just threw it. I was like, hey, that's what you got to do. I mean,
yeah, Wyoming definitely shocked me with that. I did not see that, especially after that first quarter and a third. It was about 10 minutes left in the first half when they all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's 17-13 at the half, and I'm like, we got a game.
Yeah, I mean, it was a hell of a game, and I think what we saw is Wyoming kind of exploited every opportunity that Texas Tech gave them. I think, Tech has a weak line. I think we saw that exploited. Tech's running game was a little suspect coming in. I think we saw Wyoming stifle that run game really quick, kind of created a one-dimensional offense for Tyler Shuck and company. They just – and the defenses, the Tech defense is notorious for their blitz packages and the frequency of the blitz. And as we, Ben kind of just alluded to this during that 2-point conversion, or actually I believe it's a touchdown. He just kind of dropped back, tossed it over the linebackers for an easy score. You do with what the defense gives you, right? And if the defense is, going jail yard blitz, that's exactly what you do. And we saw that. And I think that's exactly what we're going to see the Ducks do this weekend. I think all those little nooks and crannies thrown out there will be read.
And that gets to the point. It's like, do you think Texas Tech actually, I don't want to say fully overlooked Wyoming, but maybe just kind of took them lightly? Because Wyoming is not like the powerhouse of the G5. They have to play the Fresno, they have to play the Boise States and stuff. We get that. And they've had some good years. They're still a solid 6-7 win team generally every year. They might have their 8-9 win once in a while at a Great Bowl, but they're not like the powerhouse of the G5. And I even said it before the season, so I said that one could be a tricky one because of Oregon after it. So did Tech sleep on Wyoming a little bit?
Oh, I absolutely think they did. I would say they overlooked them. Yeah, like I said, kind of like I said earlier, I think they had the Ducks on their mind. I think they were looking forward to week 2, looking forward to this, big home opener. Wyoming capitalized. That's all I can say. I'm not going to say anything negative about Texas Tech or how they came out because I don't believe that's who they are. I don't think they're a team who would lose to Wyoming frequently. I think if that matchup's played 10 times, Wyoming would walk away with a win or two. It just things fell Wyoming's way. They took advantage of every opportunity they were given, and that's that. So I think Tech's already looking forward to week 2, and we're in for a fight.
Well, that's it. I'm not saying Wyoming would beat them 50% of the time. It just happened. Tech maybe got up the 17-3, 17-0, I think at one point, maybe even. And they maybe just started sleepwalking a little bit. And Wyoming wanted to play. So, for them, that was their home opener. So that was big for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why something to look at is, and we've got, the Oregon stats too. Here we go. If it likes me, it does like me tonight. Good. I like, there we go. That's even better. So we have, obviously, Wyoming 35-33 over Texas Tech. And, I mean, efficiency-wise, this almost is like the Clemson game against Duke. Wyoming, or Texas Tech, for the most part, outplayed Wyoming. Outside the rushing numbers, which I think Tech got away from maybe at some point for some reason, whether it wasn't working or they felt better passing.
Well, I mean, yeah, just going back to it, and I kind of dove into that game a little bit as well. And, I mean, Texas Tech, the run game was pretty non-existent there. I believe they had 33 rushing attempts, and their long was, I believe, like an 11-yard run. It was inconsistent. It was spotty. And, as we see here, Wyoming, the number that really sticks out to me for Wyoming primarily here is the yards per rush. They're running for 4 yards a rush. Wyoming is not a team you expect to come out here and, stifle you with the run game and run it down your throats over and over again. You know who is, though? The Oregon Ducks. And I think come Saturday that run defense is going to be challenged early. And I think we're going to find out really quickly how Tim DeRuyter and company respond to their loss in Wyoming.
And another number that sticks out to me here too is obviously Wyoming 8 time of possession. That's something I'm not surprised Wyoming would do, have time of possession. It's this number here of turnovers. Yes, Tech had 1 interception that was discussed by Spaz earlier, but yeah, in the first quarter and a half, I think, were these 2 fumbles by Wyoming, and they still were outgained and still won the game. So it's hard to read from that exactly, but I mean, if you're outgaining a team and have more turnovers, or have less turnovers rather, Texas Tech has 1 less. You should theoretically win the game.
You should win the day.
Yeah, it's just the inability to finish drives. They were moving the ball. That wasn't the problem. We didn't see a lot of.
Yeah, they just couldn't finish drives. Exactly.
They couldn't finish drives. They were sustained. It was very inconsistent at best. I mean, they definitely moved the ball, and there were not a lot of possessions where we were seeing 3 and outs, where we were seeing 3rd and 7s. That really wasn't the case for the most part. And looking at Tyler Shuck's stats, they were effective in the air game. It was just they couldn't finish, and I think that's going to be a key for us this weekend too.
Yeah, you had to throw it for almost 50 times, and they got not even 100 yards on the ground. I mean, Wyoming outgained them in the rushing. I mean, who would have thought that?
Well, and
I certainly wouldn't have.
And their field goal, Texas Tech's field goal kicker missed 2 field goals. 2, I think. I think he missed a long one. He shanked a short one. I think something. If I recall correctly, he missed, I think, 2 of them. I'm sure I could find that here if I look up the full box score.
Yeah,
in theory, outside of time of possession, Tech won everything. I mean, they had over 100 yards more of offense. That's usually a sign of a win, but at the same time, too, that's also desperation of having to catch up sometimes, too. And I think that's what this was at the end.
Yeah. I think you're exactly right.
You have to look at the ESPN box score.
Yeah.
I always forget that.
Yeah, there's the box score right
there. There it is.
And we have special teams down here somewhere. Where are they?
Kicking. No, he made 2 of 2.
Oh, he was
He
2
made
of
a
2.
56-yarder.
No,
He made 205.
2 of 5. Texas Tech made 2 of 5 field goal.
So, I mean, right there in itself, that's 3
Yeah,
possessions.
Wyoming was
What is
2 of
it?
2. Wyoming was 2 of 2, but Texas Tech was 2 of 5.
Oh, Texas Tech. Okay, yeah.
So
Yeah,
that was a
I
huge
knew
difference.
his quarterback their kicker missed some. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge difference, obviously, right then and there. So they don't feel. I mean, he made a long of 54, so that's impressive.
It's 2 chippies.
Yeah, so that's impressive. But yeah, that makes a huge difference, obviously. So that means that's why they moved the ball and they just couldn't capitalize right then and there, and missed out on points.
Yeah.
And that's what happens. I mean, we know that feeling as Oregon fans about kickers from way shorter distances than that.
Alejandro Maldonado.
Yeah, so poor Maldonado, that guy, poor guy. He tried so hard and got roasted every week. So I don't think, I have to agree. I don't think Tech overlooked Wyoming. I think they were too excited. They were kind of 50-50 of looking at Oregon, but just kind of underestimating Wyoming. Not sleeping on them like some people do.
Right.
But Wyoming, that was kind of their like, this is our big goal. This is our big game.
Yeah, and they played like it. One team showed up and one team didn't.
Well, and that has to bring us to the main event, so to say, of the now 13th ranked, as the poll was put out today. So
67% now.
Yeah, it stayed that all day, and it's still a 6.5. We're still 6.5 point favorite. Only 6.5. I say only, but that
down
line
to 70.
That line's gonna fluctuate a lot in the sense of the line. But I think one of the things here is, as we will note, damn mouse. Before we talk about this exactly too, I want to get into it. We noticed we had a couple injuries, some minor injuries. I mean, I don't think it was anything crazy. We saw Ty Thompson go out in the third quarter. It looked like they thought he dinged his hand maybe. And so they just took him out, probably kept him out just in case. But we never saw Noah Whittington during the game. And then I saw a comment in another stream somewhere, and they said the comment was Whittington got rocked on the first kickoff of the game. So I actually went back and watched the first part of the game, and there was a number 6, which is Noah Whittington's number, and he did get blown up in coverage for that kickoff, and then hit again. Like, he got knocked down, then he got up, and he kind of got side tackled, swiped by an Oregon player and another defender. Mm-hmm. And he ran off the field, but I'm wondering, maybe I don't want to say like concussion, maybe. They were like, maybe he got his head banged a little bit, and they were like, we're just going to keep you out just in case. You don't need to be in this game. I'm not sure. I haven't heard any updates. I don't know if you guys have.
All I heard was that he was warming up before the game.
Well,
that was the only thing I heard.
That's true. I don't know what happened before the game. I don't know if he had, maybe a pre-existing injury they were just kind of being precautionary with, and maybe with a few other guys that was the same. But I did see an update today from a pretty credible source, James Crepia, very familiar with the Oregon program. And good news, Ducks fans, Chris Hudson, Noah Whittington, Justin Jacobs, Evan Williams, Ty Thompson, Mace Funa, Casey Kelly, Ashton Kozar, all back at practice, all in pads, no limitations. So that's a great sign. I think the only notable player that I saw that was remaining out was Nishad Strother, transfer offensive lineman that, we may or may not see, this weekend. But yeah, so on the injury front, it sounds like we got out of Portland State pretty unbanged up and pretty healthy heading into week 2 against Tech.
Well, that's good because Lanning is doing the Chip Kelly thing where it's like, we just don't talk about players, which is fine. I mean, I understand why. They don't want to release, they don't want to give a lot of info, one kind of surprise here and there. But yeah, we were all surprised that Whittington didn't play. And I didn't realize he was on that special teams, that first kick. And then when I went back and looked in, I was like, oh yeah, he did get kind of clobbered. And so they were probably like, you know what, just maybe he was a little dazed or a little ding like Thompson, just like, just sit out. We'd rather have you for next week and the week after than today.
100%.
So I think that's important. And then one of our resident Beaver fans here. What's up, little brother? Ducks by a million. Who let the Beaver in? It's the internet, David. We can't control that. Well, that's good to know because, yeah, injuries are something we really want to avoid. Obviously, every team does. Every team is going to go through injuries, but week 1, that's not a good way to start the season.
No, there's a definite advantage of playing the cupcake week 1. And, it's not just what should be an easy victory. It's, usually you're able to get your starters out there with a decent amount of play clock left and, hopefully theoretically get to week 2 as healthy as possible.
So, Tony, is that smells like Teen Spirit?
They're just excited. They got DJ playing good down there, at least from what I saw on Sunday.
Yeah, that man looked good too.
Just San Jose State. You calm down over there, Beavers. Crazy little Beavers. Tony's not a Beaver.
You could always send him back to Clemson.
No, I don't think he'd go back. I think he's very happy in Corvallis right now.
I think the Beavs are too. They probably think they're going to win the Natty now.
That's why I say, calm down, you little Beavers. So going ahead, and we're looking at, we've talked about the Oregon versus Portland State. We've talked about Tech versus Wyoming. And, looking at these teams, of course, the matchup predictor, we know. The matchup predictor doesn't mean a whole lot. No one needs to get super excited about that. But if you look at and even the yardage, it's so hard because Wyoming and Portland State are 2 different teams. So that's why we always have to say, hey. But, you look at their leading rusher, 11 carries, 39 yards. And Bucky had 4 for 119. Now, a couple of those were obviously some big runs by Bucky. He had the
52
huge
breakaway. And a 56.
Yeah, it was like he had the huge breakaway through the line that he got outside, and then that 4th down where he just cut and went around the entire D line. But I think the big thing I'm happy for that we'll see how this holds up compared to their passing was the biggest thing we noticed was this 52 passing yards. And a lot of that was in probably the first quarter and a half.
That's very true. And I think it's really hard to get anything from that number, especially when we're heading into a game against a Tech team who likes to spread it out with the receivers. I think looking back at it, they had something like 7 different receivers with multiple catches. They like to spread it out. And I think, what we saw in Portland State, it's not what we're going to see this weekend. So, yeah, that Duck secondary is definitely going to be tested this weekend.
Yeah, but remember also, though, last week, like Ben was saying, Tech had most of that passing yardage was in the first quarter and a half.
Well, even the rushing, we said we were texting. We were a little concerned, which I was like, hold on, relax. But we gave 100 of this 148 basically in the first quarter. So that means for 3 quarters, they gave basically 48 more rushing yards. So I think that was a very positive. Of course, Tech is a different team. 100% agree with you on that, Derek. So it will be, how does the defense start and how do they adjust and how do they finish? Kind of the three keys to the game, in that sense, defensively.
Yeah, because
you guys were ripping, you guys were screaming over there in the text on the game, like, this high safety thing, we're going to get killed.
Yeah, me and Derek were on it, weren't we? But yeah, after that first quarter, if this team this week does that same thing, they come out and Tech kind of moves the ball a little bit the first quarter or so, and then they make those adjustments and like last week, basically shut down the last three quarters. I think we're in good hands. If you look at the two biggest games this week, both those games, both teams that won were either trailing or tied at the half. And I know both of them were trailing, as a matter of fact. Yeah. And second half, 0 points for one, 7 points for the other, and that was in garbage time. I mean, it just shows you that they made those defensive adjustments at halftime and shut the two teams down in the second half. If Oregon does that with Tech, probably going to have the same result as you did in the LSU, Florida State, and the Duke Clemson game.
That's the fun of it. I guess we're gonna find out exactly what that secondary is made of right now. I mean, kind of like I was alluding to before, we allowed 52 pass yards, and that's an incredible number. In a D1 football game, that's absolutely unheard of. With that being said, we know what Texas Tech's offense looks like. We know what their bread and butter is, and we know what they're going to go to. And, that's no secret to us. It's no secret to Dan Lanning. We're going to see the defense get tested, and I think we're going to see Tech move the ball. It's inevitable, it's going to happen. But I also think we do see those adjustments, like you said. We've seen that adjustments can happen, and I think if and when they need to be made, they will be done so effectively.
That, and I have to say, the one thing that was good for us, of course, in Portland State, they didn't have to show a lot, like offensively or even defensively. They didn't have to do a lot of blitzing. They didn't do exotic pressure packages, nothing against Portland State, really. That was pretty much just base adjustment, coverage, doing their thing. Tech was put in a spot where then they had to start showing some of these looks to get back into the game and try to defend. And so that could be, I'm not saying they showed a lot or showed everything. Obviously, the playbook is for most OCs is massive. And they saved some just for Oregon and for other teams. But now Oregon has even more film kind of to look at when it comes to like what Tech is going to try to do or wants to do. A little bit more maybe than Oregon, because Oregon really didn't show a whole lot. A lot of it was just a lot of screen game, and motion work. They really didn't show anything crazy offensively.
No, I don't think they had to show their hand whatsoever. And like you said, Tech definitely did. That we kind of saw the way in the second half they understood the urgency and how they had to climb back into that game just to get to that point. We know what their offense looks like. We know what they want to go to. We know their short pass, go for the home run, hope it's open. That's their bread and butter. It's probably what we're going to see this weekend, but it's like you said, we get it on film now. That's an advantage we have over anything Tech has at this point on this season.
Well, and coming down to these stats, that's why Tech only had 93 rush yards. I think, and I don't know how many of that came in the second half. I would have to go look, quarter by quarter, but I'm going to guess that they had probably like 70 of that in the first, and then nothing was happening in the second. So they went, okay, we got to throw the ball now. That's probably why they had to have 338 yards passing.
Right. I turned it on in the second half, and in the second half, at least, the run game seemed to be pretty non-existent. It was a whole lot of Tyler Shuck dropping back and letting the receivers go to work.
Spaz is trolling the chat right now. That's good. That's good work. That's good work there. I want to, but
I would expect nothing less.
So if we're looking at this and we're thinking, both teams are ready to go, no one's overlooked the other. What are the keys to the game to win if you're Texas Tech? How do they stop Oregon from coming in and just, running up the scoreboard? Hopefully.
All right. First and foremost, I think Tech's got to get to the quarterback. Tim DeRuyter is their defensive coordinator. We're very familiar with him as he's a former Oregon defensive coordinator. We understand that he loves his blitz packages. He disguises them fairly well, brings them in a lot of different looks. I think he needs to be effective in getting the ball, kind of getting him on the run, getting him off balance, making him make those second and third reads, get his feet moving, get him uncomfortable. Second thing, I think they definitely need to step up in the run game. If Wyoming's putting up 4 yards a carry and rushing for almost 200 yards, I hate to know what this Oregon running back room is capable of doing. So if they want to have any chance at winning this game, controlling the tempo, forcing Oregon into some uncomfortable downs and distances, I think they need to control the run game early. They need to establish themselves as a presence, kind of make Oregon rely on that pass game and their receivers, which, as a Duck fan, I'm pretty comfortable with letting happen. But, it's what they need to do. That if Oregon sits there and runs the ball all night, all of a sudden we control the clock, we control the tempo of the whole game, and, the Ducks could run away with this one early. So I think they need to get Oregon off balance and into some different looks.
I think I chased Alabama away.
He's doing God's work over there. What do you think, Spaz? What does Texas Tech have to do to disrupt, what we just saw from Oregon, and do differently than they did or could do against Wyoming? What do they have to do?
They got to be consistent in their drives. You can't. Like Nick Aliotti said in the past, and how he used to run the Oregon defense in a way, you can't just beat Oregon between the 20s, because that's not going to win you the game. You have to get beyond that 20, and you got to get in and score, and you've got to keep the ball moving. You got to keep it away from that high-powered Oregon offense. If you don't, and you start to get into a track meet, you're probably going to get ran out of your own stadium. So like Derek says, they got to control the ball. They got to get they can't finish the game with 100 yards on the ground. Otherwise, the score will be 56-17 or somewhere around there. So they got to move the ball, and Tyler's got to be creative with the ball. He's got to mix it up with a lot of play action. Get the Oregon edge guys moved around, and move the ball up and down the field, and be consistent and keep drives alive.
I have to agree with that. I think Tech has to, not that the time of possession matters for Oregon that much, but I think that's Tech's good way of doing it. Just like you say, a good offense is a good defense. Keep Oregon's offense off the field. That running game will not keep Oregon off the field. That if they can't get at least like 3 to 3.5 yards a run, they have to avoid negative plays and not be put in a hard position. If they can keep steady movement, keep chains moving, and stay on the field offensively, that's how you keep Oregon off the field. So you put less pressure on their defense. And I think that's maybe going to be Tech's game plan. I could be wrong. They might come out and try to do a blitz thing. But for me, I would want to keep the Oregon offense off the field. Like we've seen over the years. That's usually the game plan. Keep them off the field.
Yeah, well, we'll see. You know what they say, Big 12 defense going to Big 12 defense. So
it's easier said than done. I mean, it's easier said than done. That should definitely be, I think, one of the game plans is control the clock and then make Oregon have to work that much faster and harder to catch up, basically. If they were to fall behind for whatever reason.
Let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Well, on the
Oh, what's that? Did I
that we
just
have
put
to
up?
play catch up. That we have to play catch up in this game, point wise. I think I didn't see the comments. The on the reverse side of that, quickly though, what does Oregon have to do to beat Tech? What does Oregon have to do? They're going. I mean, they're on the road. Texas Tech is not a joke place. Texas Tech has a very good fan base that always shows up, even if Tech is 5 and 6. Their fans show up. They don't care.
For sure.
Yeah, that's like an Oregon fan base. So it's going to be loud, and
It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. What's the difference down there, Ben? You've lived in both places, so
I haven't lived.
That's
I haven't lived in Lubbock, but I lived about an hour and a half south of Lubbock, and it's a desert. It's hot. It does get humid, and even at night when the sun goes down, the temperature doesn't just like necessarily drop all the time, but then it can. So it could be a swift change in temperature. So that was it too. Weather could be an aspect. The heat, you never know. People, just from cramping up, players cramping up and stuff like that. So hopefully the coaching staff is taking that into account.
Yeah, I did look at the weather this weekend just kind of out of curiosity too, and I did see the projected kickoff temperature was something like 96 to 97 degrees.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so I think cramping, humidity, dehydration, all definitely going to be some issues here this weekend.
But as to on the field, besides weather and stuff, you just mentioned Tech's got to get Bo Nix off, out of his place and run around. Well, that was something we didn't even see in game one. They didn't have Nix run, nor did he actually feel the need to. So that was good. And that showed the O-line doing what they're supposed to do, again, against Portland State. So we haven't even seen what type of packages they have for Nix to run the ball if they need to, like quarterback draw, read options. We haven't even seen anything like that yet. And nor is Texas Tech. So I don't know how they want to sprinkle a couple here and there in.
Nobody knows how we match it this weekend. The playbook is wide open, and in terms of what Tech knows about this Oregon playbook in 2023, this Will Stein offense, it's probably very little. There's not a whole lot to go off of. With that being said, I think the formula for Oregon's pretty simple. I think they just need to be exactly who they are. Oregon is a team who runs the ball effectively, led by quarterback Bo Nix, who I'm then not surprised in any game to see him throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, and I don't think anybody else that's a Duck fan is either. So, if Oregon's able to do exactly what Oregon could do and should do against this Texas Tech defense, I don't think they have to do anything special. I don't think we see a whole lot of crazy exotic looks. I think realistically this game could still be won with a fairly simple, game plan. I'm not saying that Tech's a scrub by any stretch, but I am saying that I think the formula is pretty clear for what Oregon needs to do this weekend in order to secure a win.
That's a fair take. I mean, that's it. Yeah, they may not have to do anything exotic. They may just stick with the base offense like they did against Portland State and just see what happens for a couple of drives and then go, okay, this is not working, or this is working just fine. It's hard to say because I think we didn't really see a lot from it. And got Raymond in here. Shock has to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and they'll have to stop Oregon's running attack and win the turnover count. Yeah, I mean that's all. I think that's pretty straight. that's pretty straight, normal statistics. I mean, that's something we hope to see is more pressure. That's the one thing we want to see out of the defense is more defensive pressure on the quarterback. Make them make bad decisions. Make them have to get rid of the ball. Of course, sacks, maybe a couple fumbles here and there. That'd be great. And we'll see how the rushing attack goes because again, it's a different level of competition going against Texas Tech than, with all due respect, Portland State, the Fighting Vikings. Well, we looked at that. We looked at the weather even because the weather. I think that will be maybe a slight issue. I don't think it'll be that big of a deal.
No, I wouldn't say big deal. I think, to be honest, what it really means is we just see a little bit more rotation than we're used to. I think we can all agree this year, out of any other year, Oregon they're pretty deep in a lot of positions. So I do think we see that depth kind of utilized this weekend just due to the dehydration factor and the cramping factor, kind of keep guys fresh. We'll probably see that happen, but I don't think it's going to be a cause for concern to the point where, we're looking at our fitness team going, they didn't prepare us.
Well, that was a good thing about the Portland State game, too, is that you were able to see a lot of the depth, get their own time, kind of second, third string. So now they kind of go, okay, these are the guys we want to rotate. Plus, as Lanning said in his postgame, he said it a lot, and I don't blame him. This is all coach speak. I have to watch the film to see what we can clean up. Like he was happy overall, but he's like, well, I got to look. We did a couple things here and there, and we're gonna still fix that. And I'm like, that's what you want to hear. That's coach speak. But I think they got to see the rotation a little bit, see some of the guys that could be maybe moved from the third string to the second string and vice versa a little bit in the rotation.
Oh yeah, as we know from previous years, this lineup is not set by any stretch. We're constantly seeing guys jump lines, if you will, throughout the season. And this being so early, who knows how we're going to see some of these guys utilized.
Especially hopefully barring any injury. That's the big thing. Just go do the game, play the game, get out hopefully with a win. No injuries. That's the big one.
That's the hope. We got a huge game coming the following week against Hawaii, so we really got to be healthy and prepared for that one.
You better watch out for the. You better watch out for the Rainbow Warriors. Don't you talk down to them, Derek?
Hey! I am not talking. You will see next week we will get into the Rainbow Warriors, and do I have some things to say about them? I think they're better than people think.
Oh no, I think that they actually are vastly improved from last year. And thinking of what Derek just said here, if StreamYard will respond to me, there we go. We're not done here yet, but make sure every Tuesday night, right here on the Oregon channel, The Voice of College Football, 9 p.m. Central Time, 7 Pacific. For those of you who don't have time, that'd be 10 p.m. Eastern. Join us right here every Tuesday for the Ducks live show as we look at the week ahead. And I don't know what else to say. This is the game that we've been looking forward to, I think, outside of especially USC, Washington, and Utah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe now Colorado a little bit more. This has been the game everyone's been looking at for the Ducks. We've been like, ooh, that's going to be a toughie. Mm-hmm. I'm feeling a lot more confident about it.
Yeah, I was actually just having that thought right before we jumped on stream tonight is I feel a lot better going into this game this week than I did last week. And it definitely helps that, we put up 81 points on a fairly non-competitive FCS team. Once again, no disrespect to Portland State, but nothing about Tech scared me. No phase of their game did I look at and think, oh man, we're going to have a tough time stopping that. Or, oh, I don't know if we can move the ball against that. I think it's a very winnable game. if Oregon does not win this game, I think it's 100% the doing of Oregon beat themselves. They were completely unable to do anything that they needed to do. I alluded to it previously, but I think the game plan is fairly straightforward. We know what we need to do. And yeah, you're right. A very fast front seven. You're right. And, to be honest, Tech has a very athletic defense overall. They really do. That's not their problem. Athleticism is not the issue in Tech, at least in my opinion. Just kind of going back to last weekend, watching this Wyoming game schematically, we definitely saw some holes, right? And those holes, they're going to be tested again this week. And sure, maybe Tech shorted up, and they definitely have the athletic ability, and they are fairly deep. They had a decent recruiting class last year, and their Tech is a program that's trending upward. But I'm not sure they're kind of ready for the caliber of what they're about to see. There's not a lot of Big 12 running back rooms that match what Oregon's going to bring this Saturday. So, we're going to see. We're going to see, but they will be tested. And if they can make the proper adjustments, we will see.
And that's it with the fast front seven. And that's going to be a game plan that they're watching for quick reads, quick outs, and they're going to be prepared for that. But I have to agree. I think if Oregon loses this game, it's going to be them beating themselves. They're going to have 4 or 5 turnovers or something stupid like that, or missed field goals or failed fourth downs, stuff like that. I mean, it's going to be Oregon literally beating itself, I think. So if Oregon plays a clean game, even like this last time, 2 penalties, 20 yards total. If they play a clean game, penalty-free almost, no turnovers, and can get 1 or 2 turnovers, I don't see why Oregon can't win, this game. But we live in the Pac-12 world where crazy crap happens. Usually it's in Pac-12 land, not out of conference, but it happens.
Oh yeah, it definitely happens. And like I said, it's no easy task. I don't think anyone's going into Saturday overlooking this team. But it's like you said, this is a game that should be won. I fully expect Oregon to walk away with a dub. I don't necessarily think it's going to be the 35-point win that a lot of fans, have convinced themselves is going to happen this weekend. And hey, if it does happen, fantastic. Just going off what I see, I don't see that being the case. But hey, we're about to find out.
Yeah, originally I think I said I expected about a 7-point game. It will come down to late fourth quarter, 7-point game. Now I'm leaning a little more. It's going to be like a nice 14-point win, but it'll still take probably till the late third quarter to begin the fourth quarter to get to that point. I think still.
I agree.
If it turns out into a blowout, that's so be it. I mean, I'm down for that too. That's fine.
Oh yeah, that would be great. I think I have it sitting at about a 12-point Oregon win currently. So we'll hopefully that comes.
We have score predictions coming up. I didn't tell you that at the beginning. We're making score predictions tonight. You don't get to second guess yourselves.
Oh, I cannot wait.
That's coming up at the very end, so stick around because 2 of us in this the group of 3 are losing so far to one of the other people. Or this way. That guy over there. Well,
Hi,
fun
guys.
note. Hey, welcome back. Well, we were just getting to the fun notes here of looking at some fun stuff because a lot of people, outside of course, for the Pac-12, Mike Leach, knowing the air raid, and of course the Red Raiders under Mike Leach, a lot of people don't know much about Texas Tech. So I decided to pull up a little information to show them that they're not no slouch. They have a nice stadium. It's a nice stadium. They've done some work on it recently. It's going to be hot. It's in the desert. And they hold more than Oregon does. They hold over 60,400 people in this stadium. And I won't be surprised if it's, sold out plus because of Oregon being there. one of those wild, high-ranked opponents. We were hoping Texas Tech would be ranked in the top 25 this week, but that's not happening, obviously.
A lot of people misconstrue that too. When they see Jones AT&T Stadium, they think it's at Jerry's World.
Yeah, no. Big difference between Texas Tech in Lubbock and Jerry's World in Arlington. Big difference.
Oh yeah, huge difference.
Hey, yeah, definitely no knock. That is a beautiful stadium, though.
Yeah, they've done some work on it. I don't know when this photo was actually from, I guess, 2021. They've been doing renovations, and I don't think they're done yet, but they've been actually redoing a lot of this. So it's actually different, a little bit different now still.
Yeah, I think the two biggest things I saw is they replaced the turf. So this game that Oregon will be playing on, it'll be the first time anyone's playing live on that turf. And then I believe they installed a new set of like LED lights, for when Texas Tech is supposed to score a touchdown.
Yeah, I think they are also adding, they were on another complex in the back. I believe it's here on the right side of the photo. They're adding or renovating this whole complex in the background here, as well as probably their boxes and maybe some stands, like a standard renovation, but I think an overhaul a little bit. So I'll be interested to see it because, I'll be there Saturday, sweating to death.
I'll be sitting in my AC thinking about it.
Drinking $20 beers.
Welcome to Stadium Football Beer.
Well, thinking of stadium beers, if no one's ever been to Lubbock, or if you ever end up at Lubbock, or you're going to be at this game for any Oregon fans too, if you are, let us know in the comments section below after the video if you watch this later, or in the chat if you're going to be there, because I'll be there. And so just for fun, Texas Tech has the eats going on in that stadium. Hell yeah.
Really?
I'm going to stay away from the Papa John's. I might go for Fry House, maybe? Or the
Lone Star Grill.
Barbecue.
Wow.
End Zone Bar. Ooh.
Yeah, quite
They
the
got
thing.
two Lone Star Grills.
Yeah, they got everything on each side. I'm like, hey now. I don't want to know how much some of this barbecue is at the stadium, but
where are you sitting, Ben?
I will be in section 18. Right down here.
How about the 20?
It's supposed oh no, sorry. That's 17. I don't know why they have these ones not marked. 16, 17, 18. I'll be right here about the 40.
Oh, right on.
I got those at the cheap seats, but then now the ticket prices have dropped apparently. And I'm like, well, at least I didn't overpay. I think I got a pretty reasonable price at the end of the day still.
That's one bright side of the Wyoming win. Cheap tickets.
I think it was still almost sold out. Anyways, I think really.
I think it did end up selling out today too.
Yeah, Sean was able to, I think, get a ticket today.
Yeah, because he said if he was going to be there, it would be he would be there. I was like, all right. So I got to still find out. Another question to anyone who's going to be there, Duck fans, or anyone who knows who's going there, or even Texas Tech fans. Where's the good tailgating going on? Is it in the parking lot, or is there a restaurant or bar right near the stadium? I'm also trying to figure that out this week. So, because love to meet up with the other Duck fans and have a little hangout, little bar party, whatever beforehand.
If you look on the Oregon football page on Facebook, there's a couple of people that are going that had already been looking at.
Oh yeah, no, I'm messaging one person right now. Actually, privately, I haven't heard from a couple of days. They're going to be down there, so I was like, where are we going to go? But no one's really gotten back exactly where. So I'm like, I don't want to stand out in the parking lot for 4 hours sweating to death, or I'm going to go sweat in the game. I'd rather go to the bar. But Texas Tech, the stadium, I can't wait to see the stadium.
I would just Google the area and see where the closest bar is to it.
Yeah. I just wanted just to make sure everyone meets at the same place. And it was funny on Twitter. I saw this earlier. I don't know why. It's. I don't want to say it's sad, but it's bad at the same time because it was literally like apparently this is a Texas Tech player. I don't know who this is. They were doing a shout out to Texas Tech fans to.
This is so sad.
What the fuck? I can't hear it.
Yeah, I don't think we have any volume with it, Ben.
I don't know why this is doing. StreamYard has been doing that for some reason. They've been screwing that up. So this player is basically saying, "Hey, we apologize. We're just as disappointed about the Wyoming loss as you are, but we have a big game this weekend. So we're looking at OU, and hopefully you all come out and join and celebrate and cheer us on." Like, because I think they felt like a lot of people might go, screw it, we're not showing up now. And they're like, literally got this poor guy just after practice, it looks like, to come out and be like, please come to the game.
Yeah,
like, I think it's sold out. I think it's sold out. So I'm like, or almost, so like, I don't think you had to do that.
He goes, would you please come to the game?
Yeah, I was like, I don't think you had to do that. I'm pretty sure your people are going to show up no matter what anyways. I mean.
Yeah, it's sold out. There's just resale seats left.
Yeah, that's what
a couple people said that.
Yeah. I mean, because that's it. In the section I'm at, again, there was like 10 tickets left, and then there was like 20 for resale at like 3 times the price. And this was, 2-3 months ago. And I was like, must take these tickets now. Not the resale, but the original price ones. Because the resale was like ridiculously stupid price. I was like, I wouldn't pay for that. Well. Gentlemen, do we have any other major talking points about the Tech game in general? Things that maybe specifically you're looking forward to or hoping to see? Let's put it that way. Do you want to see Bo Nix pass for 600 yards or Bo Nix leave in the third quarter because it's so out of hand?
Yeah, give me that third quarter option.
Third quarter.
Well, what if he throws 8 passes and all of them for 90 yards each? Okay, yeah, you didn't think about that, did you?
You're ridiculous. Definitely not something I've been thinking about, but I think what I am looking forward to is probably to see how our defense kind of comes out here and establishes itself early. Are we able to get this pass rush going? Is our defensive backs able to trail some of these wide receivers? Are we able to limit the big plays? Are we able to limit Tech to being able to finish their drive? So I don't know. I'm excited more.
Can we put pressure on the quarterback?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. That's 100% it too. Can we get that pass rush going? And I think we probably are able to. Texas Tech's offensive line is not necessarily something I would consider one of their strong suits this year. So the opportunity is there. It's just a matter. We're going to see what we got. These boys are expected to get to the quarterback. We brought in guys like Jordan Birch to get to the quarterback, and we're going to see if that happens this weekend. It's kind of a great litmus test to see where what to expect going forward, I should say.
Yeah, exactly. I'm excited for it. I think it'll be a fun game. I'm going to be at a big cruise in Saturday. So about the time the post-game show, you might catch me live walking down the sidewalks because we're going to have it's a little town on the beach, and it's all classic cars, and it just gets backed up. You go about a mile in an hour.
Oh, God.
So if that's the case, it's badass.
What city?
So I might be out walking along the row of businesses and stuff, just chilling, trying to find Duck fans.
What city though?
Long Beach, Ocean Shores, Washington. Long Beach, Washington. Yeah.
Oh, okay, Long Beach. Okay. I was thinking Oregon coast. So I was like, okay, Long Beach. Okay.
Right across the Astoria Bridge.
He's going to Washington instead of celebrating Oregon. Jesus. Disgrace. Goodbye, Spaz, kicking him. No. So, Spaz, would you rather see the Ducks put up 500 rushing yards or 6 sacks?
Put up what? 600 yards or 6 sacks?
No, 400 yards rushing or 6 sacks on the quarterback.
I'd like to see 6 sacks and about 250 yards rushing, and Bo with like 120 of it and 2 scores.
You can only have one. You can only have one. You can't have like all 3 phases over here. You can't. That's not how this works.
Damn it. Yeah, give me 6 sacks.
I would take 6 sacks over the 400 yards rushing too. I think we're going to have over 200, 250 rushing, and I think that would be still pretty. That's a solid rushing performance for a team. But I would definitely take 6 sacks, or hell, I would take 3 sacks and like 3 big tackles for loss, like 3 to 4 or 5 yard tackle for loss type plays. I'll take those even. I'd be like, that's holding them at bay.
Just to see a rush happen, kind of get in the backfield every few plays would be, man, highly encouraging for what we got going on this year.
Yard rushing officer for Colorado. This is the weird thing. We're not to Colorado. We're not to Colorado yet, Tony. You calm yourself down. What's weird about that is it could be
2 weeks, Tony.
Yeah, it could be 2 3-0 teams, like a top 10 Oregon, and even by then maybe a 15th ranked Colorado by then. You never know. I mean,
just where everybody's at. That might be our most polarizing show yet. People either love Prime or they hate Prime, so they're going to be keyed into what we got to say.
Yeah, 3 weeks, man. I mean, wow. Would you imagine Colorado being like 15 by then and Oregon being right about 9-10?
Well, Colorado is 22 right now. Are they 20?
Yeah, Oregon's 13, Colorado's 22.
22.
Top
so yeah,
the Pac-12.
Two more really good wins for Colorado with a couple slip-ups on the other team. They could easily probably move to 15. I would think.
Yeah.
Maybe like 18, 17 or 18, but I mean, they could be 15th. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it'd be very interesting to see. I mean, yeah, I can't wait.
HR picks it. Hold on, he's setting this straight over here. Don't worry about Colorado. Check this out. Yes, we know. Also, I think Colorado.
Ooh, is that legit? Is that a legit stat?
Well, yeah, Georgia beat them like 67-7.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Yeah.
So Colorado did have to throw like everything they had at TCU to get those points to beat them. So they put a lot on film also. So
man, I mean, just looking at it, TCU, they weren't impressive by any stretch. Clearly, the defense looks like Swiss cheese, as our guy Sean would say. And Colorado struggled to beat those guys. So, I mean, like I said,
Colorado's defense is not anything to exactly be.
Like I said, we'll get to that in 2 weeks from today. But, I wasn't impressed by TCU by any means. So, I mean, what I saw from Colorado, I'm going to try to take it with a grain of salt. It was impressive. Don't get me wrong. Very impressive. Like I said, with a grain of salt.
Offensively, yeah.
Right, exactly. With a grain of salt.
They can't run the ball.
Well,
but they got an air raid.
Did you say Colorado can't run the ball? Did you see that man Dylan Edwards run for 3 touchdowns and 100 yards? What are you talking about? That man went crazy.
Oh, did they have the one guy that did actually run the ball?
Yeah, man. Dylan Edwards, he's a true freshman. That man snapped last weekend.
What remember Shador throwing the ball all over the place.
But their biggest thing is Hunter playing both sides of the ball that many snaps. That's their biggest. Because if they lose in a corner, maybe they don't get a pick or two. But if they lose in the receiver, they don't get 100+ yards receiving out of them. So
that's true. You know, I mean, I know it's an Oregon show, but I'm very curious to see what Colorado does this weekend. I believe Nebraska's this weekend. You know, Nebraska's they have a very different identity than what TCU tries to carry, and I'm kind of curious to see how Colorado handles that contrast between, you know, that quick moving TCU team and, you know, Nebraska, who tends to be a little bit more physical.
It's going to be interesting. We've got a few weeks, at least a couple weeks. So we don't have to worry about that right yet. Let's see what Colorado does.
Hey, Dylan Edwards only had 24 yards rushing, Derek.
How many touchdowns does this man have?
1.
Look at his receiving line.
Okay.
Yeah, this man snapped. He had a big game. He's a
he's like that.
But yeah, they really don't have a rushing attack.
We'll see. I mean, like I said, week 1, I'm very curious to see how that gets carried going forward.
Well, if you guys want to talk Colorado, Nebraska, you have to check out the Colorado show that was on the main channel for the Voice of College Football earlier.
I'll be checking out their show on Saturday.
Or the Nebraska show, live every week with Mark. But as for Derek and Spaz, this is the time that is the most dreaded. Dun, dun, dun. We are keeping a running tally. Spaz won this last week. He is in the lead, 1 point to no one. Nothing, because I reneged on my original guess of 73 points and took it down a notch, and Spaz won by default because I second-guessed myself and doubted the offense. And there's no second-guessing or reneging on this score prediction. So once you make this, you're stuck with it. And because, Spaz, you won last week, you get to or have to go first. So you're at a disadvantage here.
I like Raymond's 51-20 at the half and 12 tortillas.
That's a halftime score. That's not a game projection. That's a halftime projection. We're not doing it by halves here.
No, man, if I go off of what I saw last week, you know, it's going to be some high-ass number.
I'm taking notes.
It's a really low number.
This is not like you can avoid this later. I'm taking notes. It's going to be written down immediately.
I got to say Oregon 56, Texas Tech 27.
So 56-27 Oregon. Okay. Sean is not here as usual, so he's cheating, doing his extra research. Derek, what do you think?
Yeah, I do think Tech's defense shows up a little bit this weekend. I still, you know, like I said, Big 12 defense, going to Big 12 defense. So I have a 42-30 final this weekend in favor of the Ducks.
Okay. I'm a little in the range of where you were. I'm leaning more like 45-27. I do. Tech's going to put up some points, I think. You know, the defense is going to get caught off guard. And our offense is going to take a little step back because it's a different level of thing, different level of, you know, opponent. So I was leaning on the 45-27 range.
45-27. All right.
I mean, I think we would all still be extremely happy with that. 27 points, maybe not so much. Then again, right now, I should probably go 45-0, and that's what it'll be, I think.
Hey, I don't care if it's 7-6 as long as Oregon wins.
Oh, God, don't bring that whole game up.
No, we did that once already with the whole Michigan State Las Vegas Bowl.
Shit. I'm sorry. Derek, you had 42-30.
Yeah.
My notes went the wrong line. I'll rewrite these 42-30, and I had 45-27. Is it? Yeah. I mean, if this is a 2017 game like Utah, I'd be like, cool, whatever. As long as we win, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
100%.
Just have to win the day.
Yeah, that's the idea. So I will rewrite these notes. I'm just going to erase Sean's guess because that was not his. I'll have to put him on the spot tomorrow via text. He just can't double up on the score predictions. Well, gentlemen, do you have any other final thoughts coming up? Because again, this is the game everyone looked at. We were excited for on the off season and nervous about. But again, any final thoughts for this game?
No, not really. Just like I said, excited to see what this defense brings. Hopefully, our first two lines of the D are able to get to the quarterback and make Tyler Shuck a little uncomfortable back there. But I'm excited. I think we see the Ducks walk away with a victory.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I just hope that we can get out of this game healthy and with a win. I do think that we are in a better position than I thought we would be 2 weeks ago, most definitely. And the way that Dan Lanning and Taj Lapoye have been putting this defensive unit together the last couple of years, and what I saw last week, even though it was Portland State, I think they're in much better position. They know where to make their adjustments when they need to make them, and I think this is going to be a whole different. It's going to be a whole different year. I don't see this team resting on its laurels like maybe past teams would have. I think this coaching staff has a totally different reaction to its players, and I think these players are bought in now. It's year 2 of Dan Lanning, and being ranked 13 on week 2 is pretty high for Oregon. We haven't been this ranked this high for a while, for a few years. So if we stay consistent and just keep winning ball games, this could be a top 5 matchup with, USC in 6 to 8 weeks. Could be, a 4-5 matchup, a 5-6 matchup, something around that. And boy, would that be fun.
Yeah, we still got Washington. That could be the same thing at that point in time. We have no idea how that's going to go too, because that's the fun part. That's the fun and the scary part to a degree. So we're going to have to see how the defense does. I do say the defense, I think last week the adjustments need to happen quicker, but I think they wanted to test that base defense and it didn't work. And they're like, okay, we're going to swap to this now. So it was kind of a little bit of a shuffle game to kind of test things out a little bit. I'm hoping.
Was it you, Derek, that said you went to Seattle a couple years ago for the Ducks-Washington game?
Yeah, it was the year it downpoured from start to finish. I think Anthony Brown was the quarterback. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, that was a hell of a game.
Well, I think we've talked enough about Tech tonight. Actually, we're going to get out of here a lot earlier than last week. That's amazing. Good job, you two. On point tonight. Spaz, please drop stuff in the chat where people can find you. promote yourself a little bit here.
Okay. At the Rocky Classic on Twitter, Instagram. Oh, you piece of crap. My stupid. Still getting used to this laptop. It's my wife's.
Spaz is working on it. There he
Slow.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. I suck at computers, dude. I'm not a computer man.
What about you, Derek? I think you dropped yours right there.
Yep, I got mine in the chat.
Well, fantastic. As usual, to everyone who sees me here Saturday night, the post game, we are going to be here every Tuesday night, as noted, right here on the Oregon Ducks Live every Tuesday, as well as the Oregon post game following every Oregon game this season, barring some ungodly issue.
Should we put them share with them a temporary time for Saturday, Ben? Or
Saturday, we will probably aim for. I've got a tab right here. There's so many damn tabs in this thing. It's unbelievable. Likely, we will be doing Oregon football at, let's say, right now. There we go. Why did that not go where I wanted it to? Why is this being a pain? No, that's not what I wanted. Where did that one go? There it is. Right there. Check us out here. Right now, we'll be set for the Oregon postgame live here on this channel at 10 p.m. Central this Saturday, following the Texas Tech game. It may be 9:30. Most likely, we'll just set for 10, since 1 to 2 of us will probably be at the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think 6 p.m. till 9:30 ish for the game to end. 10, I think, seems pretty reasonable. Pretty reasonable.
That's fair. Regardless, we'll see everybody Saturday. Everybody's looking forward to it.
There will be a notification sent. So again, if you have not, hit subscribe and hit the notification bell for this channel, and you'll see us when we go live. And well, once again, to all the Duck fans, thank you very much. Go Ducks, and good luck with Texas Tech this weekend. We'll see you guys on the next one.